All right. Hope you guys can hear me and hope everyone's doing good. Um, it's Seth here. So I'm just going to do my final presentation with you guys over the internet. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So first, I'd just like you guys to imagine that you guys are in middle school. Think about, how big you were, what you're capable of. What would you do if you were kicked out of your house in middle school? Like, just take a second, think about that. Like nowhere to stay, no food, anything like that. And yeah, just take a second and think about that because that's got something to do with what I'll be talking about today. So here is the story of Jimmy Butler, who is currently an NBA player. Obviously, you can tell by the picture I have there. So let's go ahead and get started. So first off, I just want to start with an inspirational quote from Butler. It's not all fine and dandy, but a smile can go a long way. Show some love, be patient, and this world will be a much better place. And I think that's just a good example of his linguistic or intelligence. And I think that quote, it kind of goes deeper than just let's say just like basketball or like a certain person. It's just like life in general, and also like just the world as a whole. So I think that was important to throw in there for you guys. And then on the right there is just a picture of him. This looks like practice shirt, nothing crazy. So with that, why don't we get right into his early life? So he was born in September 14th, 1989 in Houston, Texas. As an infant, his father abandoned him and just has never been in his life, which is really sad. And obviously can have a big effect on how he comes out to be, and what he makes of his life without that father figure there. And also, at the age of 13, his mother kicked him out of the house, which is why I asked you guys that at the very beginning of my presentation. Which is also very sad. I didn't find a ton of information about it. But yeah, he was just couch surfing for a while. And it's just really sad to think that a middle schooler didn't have anywhere to stay. And then underneath there, I have misunderstood. One of my sources I read, basically, he talked about how people interpreted him getting kicked out of his house as he was living under a bridge, like homeless. And he just wanted to say that wasn't the truth. He obviously didn't have a home, but it's not like he was out on the streets in a box or anything like that. He was just couch surfing from place to place. So he kind of didn't like how that was misunderstood. So I figured I'd clear that up for you guys. And then on the left there is just a picture of him in his uniform. It's kind of fuzzy, sorry about that. Moving on. So basically this is going to be high school. He went to high school at Tomball High School in Houston, which is like right outside of Houston, about 20 miles or 20 minutes. So his senior year there, he meets a guy named Jordan Leslie, who is an incoming freshman, and they were playing basketball with each other and just became really good friends. And basically, they decided to let Jimmy come into their house. Basically, Leslie's mom turned into pretty much Jimmy's mom, and they really helped him out throughout like all of high school and everything like that. And coming out of high school, he wasn't heavily recruited by any colleges, so his only choice was to go to a JUCO in Texas. For that one, I chose logical intelligence, because basically he's got a lot of stuff to analyze there, such as where he's going to stay, what he's going to eat, stuff like that is very difficult to, just to figure out in general, let alone to be a high school student and figure that out. So I thought that was important for this one. And then here on the right is him going back to his high school with, looks like his jersey got retired, and some pictures of him playing there. Moving on, so life in college, part 1. So coming out of high school, he was 73rd in his state, which is not very highly recruited at all. His only offer was to Tyler Junior College in Tyler, Texas, and that was pretty much all he had, so he had to go there. there in his first season, he averaged 18 points per game, 8 rebounds per game, and 3 assists per game. Basically, that was good enough to attract a D1 scholarship offer from Marquette, which is over on the eastern side of the country. For this one, I said it was more interpersonal because he's got to relate to more people. I'm sure not a lot of people can relate to the situations he has been in, but it's a big thing, to open up to people and be able to relate to certain things. And I think that was probably a big step for him to do here. And then on the right is just a picture of him with his jersey from the junior college. And I'm not sure if that's a coach or something, athletic director or something like that. Moving on to Life in College Part 2. He spent 3 years at Marquette from sophomore to senior year. In his final year there, he led them to a NCAA tournament appearance. And during that year, he averaged 16 points per game. That was good enough to get him drafted 30th overall in the 2011 NBA draft by the Bulls. For this one, I said it was kinesthetic. I think this is where he made that big jump from just lower level college to a high level college going into the NBA. I think is a big thing. Obviously, all this stuff is going to be kinesthetic, but I've been trying to incorporate all the other intelligences in there. But I think this is the big jump. And then on the left is him at Marquette in his final season in the NCAA tournament. Moving on, the NBA dream in the Chicago Bulls. His first year in the NBA, he didn't see much time at all. I think he only appeared in 42 games and didn't play much, so that's kind of tough to come back from. But the next 2 seasons, he did have increased playing time. One of those seasons, he played all 82 games, which is very impressive. And then one of them, he made the all-defensive second team, which is a pretty big deal for first couple-year player. From there, he basically just kind of took off and was one of the best up-and-coming players in the league. I think that's an important thing for him. So I said visual for this one. I think it's pretty important for him. When you first get into the NBA, you're going to have to learn a lot of visual things of the game, but also judgment as well. What you're going to do next play, and then also judgment from another person's perspective, how they're going to see you. And I think it's important. People could think that this guy didn't come from anything, he's not going to do anything here, but he ends up proving them all wrong, which is great. And then on the right there is him playing for the Bulls in one of his earlier years there. Moving on, next is going to be NBA dream Minnesota Timberwolves. So after his stint with the Bulls, his last year with the Bulls, he was an all-star, most improved player. They traded him to the Timberwolves, which was a surprise move considering how good he is. After 1 year playing there, he was battling injuries for most of the time. He requested a trade from Minnesota, and that year he played for him. He was named to the All-Star game, but decided not to participate so he wouldn't get hurt, and then ended up getting hurt 2 games later in the regular season, which is unfortunate. So for this one, I picked intrapersonal because he kind of needed to make us take a self-reflection and make a big self-judgment of what he was going to do looking forward into his career, and I think that's a big thing when he requested that trade from them. And then on the left there is just a picture of him playing for Minnesota for that 1 year. Moving on, the next NBA dream is going to be the Philadelphia 76ers. So that's a team he was traded to in 2018. He made an instant impact as he was one of the best players in the league. He also had 2 other players that were with him there that made the team very good. In his year there, he helped them get to the Eastern Conference Final Series, where they came up just short. They lost on a game winner in the last game of the series. This one, I think, took a lot of interpersonal because he needed to relate to a lot of people he was going to be playing with. That's an important thing in basketball is team chemistry and how people get along. So I think that was a big one for this one. On the right is a picture of just him playing in that Eastern Conference Finals series for Philadelphia. So go ahead, moving on. The last NBA dream is going to be the Miami Heat. So in 2019, there was a big sign and trade, and he ended up signing with the Miami Heat, and he still plays with them till this day. In his time with the Heat, he's led them to one of their first final appearances in a while, and he also has been named an All-Star twice, and he still continues to be one of the best players in the NBA after dealing with all this adversity. And on this one, I think it's like kinesthetic for sure, but I also think it's intrapersonal because he wants to be, the main guy on the team that they're going to look for to score or get a big defensive stop, stuff like that. He wants to be the guy, and I think this was a big thing for him to go there because now he's their option number one for everything, and I think that's also a big confidence booster for him. On the left is just him playing, him in Miami uniform walking off the court. So his career stats and accolades, his career just basic 3 stat lines is 18 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, and 4 assists per game, which is a very solid stat line, especially in the NBA. He's a 6-time All-Star in his career, 5-time All-Defensive NBA, and a 4-time All-NBA player. And like I said earlier, he won the Most Improved Player, which is a pretty prestigious award in 2014-15. And again, just on the right there, him playing for the Heat in the last couple of years. Here is going to be a quick YouTube video for you guys to watch. I'll send the link in an email or something so you guys can click on that and watch it. Basically, it's just going to be a little commercial video of him working out with a bunch of inspirational words behind it. I just thought it was kind of powerful. And then here are my references, and that's all I have for you guys. Thank you for listening.